All right. Hello. How are you? I'm extremely nervous because I haven't done this in like 4 years. And the last time I did it, I was just kind of editing or doing some voice work. I don't even remember. It was some bullshit I did on YouTube. So awesome. That's great. I do not have a Switch, but I have many fond memories of Smash Brothers on the Wii U and earlier systems. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. That's awesome. I am old enough to remember the N64 Smash Brothers. I was in high school, but I am technically old enough to remember it. Uh, I'm a complete jackass when it comes to Smash Brothers. I play like Pikachu and just do the lightning bolt over and over again, or play Jigglypuff and just try to charge attack people. I just basically troll people when I'm playing, so that's fun. It was a system that it had a lot of potential, but it they made some big mistakes with it, like requiring cartridges and the controller. I hated. So I have fond memories of it, but it had problems. I I doubt that very much. I don't think I've even played Smash Brothers in a while. I won't out myself as how inexperienced I am, but I want to put that at like 7 years ish now. Oh boy, something like that. When was the Wii U a thing? But yeah, I remember when the N64 came out, and I was really excited for it, and it was great because I was a big Nintendo fan, and it all my friends had it, but oh boy, did it have some problems. Oh, I love Mario Kart. Mario Kart, I'm actually kind of good at. So my sister and I, when Mario Kart 64 was a thing, we had an ongoing rivalry where we got to the point where we were optimizing tracks. Like if you didn't get everything perfectly, you just might as well give up because you weren't going to beat the other person's time. And the only way to get a good time in Rainbow Road was to exploit this glitch where you could jump over the track. And I managed to do it either twice or three times. And just, I was so proud of myself. Oh, I'm the ones that can speed run and do the pixel perfect stuff. That's amazing to me. I'm not even close. I'm hardcore compared to my younger sister when we played in the 90s. I tell this story to sound better than I actually am at the game. And I also GoldenEye 64. That was another one that was really big with my friends and I, because the multiplayer was the only part of that game that was honestly worth playing. And I had one friend that knew how to get everything in it, so we just used his cartridge, and that was a lot of fun. I agree, but they're people that played a lot in the 90s and kept playing, and they were good in the 90s. I played intermittently and I wasn't good at it. I had fun with it. It was a fun game to play with my friends. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I actually I'm really impressed by professional players of pretty much anything because the amount of time and effort required to do that is just mind-boggling. I have a friend who I think was a professional, I want to say League of Legends player for a little bit, and I don't know how you even get to that point. It's amazing to me. Also, well, it's just us in the chat. I need to know what to do with my newfound Homestuck Twitter clout because for some reason a lot of people like that stupid meme I made. I need to know what to do before I get canceled. I need to know how I should abuse my power. I should post takes about Vriska. Vriska did some things wrong, but can be redeemed. I feel like I have a very moderate take on Vriska. Maybe I can post about how Vriska doesn't endorse Joe Biden. That seems like a good combination that would get people riled up. Okay. I think I'm going to start reading because I didn't expect there to be a ton of people in here, and honestly, I'm good with there just being like three people as my first audience. I'm just trying to get a feel for this. So hold on, I'm going to do this so I can still see the chat. I learned how to use Streamlabs. I'm smart. I have a degree unrelated to this, but yay, transition. Uh, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this particular fic, um, which was written as part of the Lady Stuck Exchange. I actually um, volunteered to pick up the slack for people that had dropped out, and there was one writer that had dropped out, so I got to write something. And the person that requested this, who is I guess X Eleni LX X Elenial X. I don't know how to say their username, but this person here, they requested a bunch of prompts that were like perfect. They were all like Vriska and Terezi being happy and stuff like that. So this was a real no-brainer. But I like how it came out, and I'm going to read it. And then if y'all still want to hear me read stuff, I'll read something else. I got a lot of writing to read. Unfortunately, a lot of it is real long, and it's not the kind of thing you can just read in one take. But this isn't. This is set in the middle of post Act Seven continuity, but requires basically no knowledge of that. Um, Other than that, Vriska and Terezi are married in this particular time frame, and Vriska's been through a whole lot of shit. Um, so yeah, and the Streamlabs just did something weird with the chat, but whatever. So we have scenes from the terminal side of time. Vriska, Circuit, and Terezi Pyrope have come a long way since the end of the game. On a stormy day, they have a conversation about life, feelings, and opening up about emotional needs. So very, very emotional fluff. Nothing, not safe for work or anything like that. Ah, fuck! How do you even do that? Vriska sounded frustrated, but in a way that made it feel good-natured rather than unpleasant. She tossed the PlayStation controller down on the couch. All the effort to convince June to alchemize this human game console, and I'm getting my ass kicked by someone who can't even see the damn game. She laughed and turned to Terezi. We've known each other for forever. I still don't get that. Terezi wrinkled her nose, faking indignation.
Oh, are you accusing me of cheating at the game? Are you suggesting that my superior legislator's reflexes, combined with my cunning intellect and supernaturally effective non-visual senses, aren't sufficient to defeat my wife in a mere game?
Vriska grumbled, but she wasn't fooling anyone. Terezi might be blind, but she could see exactly what her wife was really feeling. Elevated heart rate, skin flushed slightly, specifically around the cheeks and forehead, smell of pheromones in the air.
Oh my god,
Terezi laughed.
is this a turn on for you?
No? Okay, she was lying her ass off. But Terezi wasn't going to push the issue. Much,
Okay, fine.
she said, letting the issue lie.
If you don't want to keep losing, what else do you want to do?
As she finished the question, a loud crack of thunder sounded in the distance, reminding both of them why they were stuck inside and playing a video game in the first place. Vriska startled at the thunder, jumping a bit, looking around. She didn't think Terezi noticed, but she did. She didn't think Terezi noticed a lot of things her wife did. The way she squeezed Terezi's shoulder every morning in the same desperate, "Are you still there?" kind of way. How she preferred not to be alone in the house and would ask Terezi to sit with her, even if they were just doing something quiet. The way she would wake up sweating heavily, mumbling about things she didn't think Terezi could hear. Terezi put an arm around Vriska's waist and hugged her, leaning the side of her head against the taller troll's shoulder. Vriska settled and bumped Terezi's head playfully.
Okay, still can't really go out until the storm passes. What should we do? I'm hungry. Let's go eat.
Well, they were not the unmitigated culinary terrors that Rose and Kanaya somehow managed to be. Terezi still remembered the story Roxy had told everyone about how they managed to explode 5 eggs in the pot once. Neither Vriska nor Terezi had ever had much opportunity to learn how to cook. It wasn't, to put it politely, much of a priority in Alternian society. As a result, the height of their exploits generally consisted of making various sandwiches. Vriska would pile various forms of meat on 2 pieces of bread and call it a day. Terezi, on the other hand, found herself wanting to experiment with a wide array of human sandwich toppings. This had apparently been a very developed art form on the old Earth, and Terezi was committed to ensuring that it was not forgotten.
I don't get you.
Vriska said. Terezi could feel her eyes turning toward the sandwich.
Oh, it smells gross, even to me. Oh, please,
Terezi exclaimed, turning her nose up.
The perfume of Miracle Whip sauerkraut and 3 different kinds of salami is as enticing as the taste is delicious.
Suit yourself, Vriska replied, taking a bite of her own sandwich. Another thunderclap sounded, closer than the last few had been, and Vriska jumped. She laughed.
Startled me.
Of course, that happened a lot lately, and Vriska had never been this jumpy before her time in the black hole. Not back on Alternia, not during their time together on the Meteor. Not ever. Terezi knew why, of course. They talked at length about the time Vriska had spent trapped in the other place, worthy of a capital letter title, no less, beyond the black hole, about her eventual realization that she could get out under the right circumstances. And even though Vriska often tried to play it cool, they talked about how Vriska had felt about all this, about how Terezi could help her cope, and how they could work together to help Vriska to heal. It was a gradual process that could take years. Neither of them were under any illusions that this was something that was going to be solved by a few of the right words and a long hug. Although those things definitely didn't hurt.
It's okay,
Terezi said as she gently touched her wife's back, running a claw lightly down her spine. There was something else. Something Terezi hadn't talked to Vriska about. She still felt guilty about not finding Vriska. Terezi had searched Paradox Space practically until it had finally collapsed. Who knew what would have happened if she'd stayed longer? She'd probably be dead, or would have ended up in the other place like Vriska did. But every day she asked herself if maybe she couldn't have done just a little bit more, searched just a little longer. Maybe she would have found some clue that would have spared Vriska some of the time she'd spent reliving her entire past in a kind of hellish loop. Terezi sighed. The sandwich suddenly seemed a lot less appealing. They were back on the couch after eating. No video game this time. Vriska wasn't in the mood to keep losing constantly. So they were sitting on the couch together. More specifically, Terezi was sitting, and Vriska was lying with her head in Terezi's lap. Terezi ran her hands along her wife's horns, feeling the velvet exterior gently.
You doing okay?
Terezi asked. Yeah, Vriska responded, her voice calm. Doing okay. That was good. Terezi took one hand and twined it in Vriska's hair. Silence settled in like a cold draft over the room, and Terezi found the urge to fidget growing with every passing second. Are you doing okay too? Vriska asked.
She knows.
Terezi's hand stopped moving. She froze. She hadn't said anything about what she'd been thinking about before. Hadn't said anything about the guilt, the second guessing that kept chewing at her guts. She felt Vriska reaching up to touch her face. With a sigh, Terezi leaned and let her wife run her hand down her cheeks. She was starting to tear up, and she knew Vriska could tell. I know you're the one who's got the super senses and mind powers, Vriska said gently, but I've got the power of caring a lot about Terezi Pyro.
Oh, that was the dorkiest thing she's ever said. She really has mellowed out.
Terezi smiled and leaned to kiss the palm of the hand that was stroking her cheeks. It occurred to Terezi that she could take this two ways. Either act like she had no idea what Vriska was talking about and make her drag it out, or just tell her. And this felt like an important decision. How much did she want to base her marriage on being intentionally obtuse? Not at all.
No, I'm not doing okay. I keep feeling guilty about what happened to you in Paradox Space and the black hole and all. And I know it wasn't my fault. I know you probably couldn't have done shit, but I still feel guilty all the time. And I don't want to make you think about that because you're obviously still healing. And I don't want you to feel like you're some kind of burden.
Terezi sighed heavily and leaned her head back against the couch. She felt Vriska shifting, sitting up.
Well, I guess she's done with my shit for now. Cool. Real good job, Terezi.
Lie down. Vriska's voice was surprisingly warm.
What?
Lie down, damn it! Terezi shifted and lay down on the couch. She felt Vriska's hand lift her head slightly, and then the back of her head was resting against Vriska's legs. Legs that were bare because she found pants confining and refused to wear them if they weren't going out and company wasn't coming over. Terezi relaxed, sinking down into her wife's thighs and smiling.
Okay, I'm laying down. Happy?
Vriska touched one of her horns lightly. Getting there, but not quite. Terezi pouted her lips.
What?
A hand in her hair, gently massaging her scalp. Why didn't you tell me? Soft, without judgment.
I didn't want you to worry or feel bad about it,
Terezi said.
It's not your problem if I've got some weird savior complex hang up.
She felt a tap on her nose and sniffed. Stop, Vriska said. Don't you have needs too? Of course she did. That was a silly thing to even ask, even rhetorically. Vriska continued. I love you. You're never a burden to me. Voice calm, heart rate even. Hands softly in her hair. Terezi blushed. Terezi realized for the 1000th time how much Vriska had changed since he came back. She still had her sarcasm and her spirit, but so many of the hard edges had been smoothed out and softened. There was a depth and consideration to her that hadn't been there before. Maybe the potential was there, the first seeds of it, but it hadn't been fully realized. Terezi still wasn't clear on the way that Vriska's perception of the time she spent in the other place worked, but she acted like someone who'd lived a lifetime and been lucky enough to come out on the other side with the wisdom it entailed. What do you need? Vriska asked.
What do I need?
Terezi had never actually considered the question. She'd always been results-oriented, focused on accomplishing what needed to be accomplished. Once the game was won and Lord English was gone, she'd been focused on trying to find Vriska. When she was sure Vriska was lost, she turned her attention to making a new life for herself on Earthsea, on the mechanical aspects of being. When Vriska came back, she devoted herself to making sure that the woman she loved was supported and cared for.
But what do I need?
Was her entire identity to be derived simply from making sure that the correct actions were taken? To making sure that everyone was taken care of? To protecting and helping, but never just living? Hold on one second, I'm going to take some water. I'm sorry you've got to go, that your dogs are acting up. But thank you for coming for what time you could. Terezi could feel her eyes growing hot with tears. They stuck in her eyelashes, and she blinked to release them as still more formed. A small sob formed in her throat, and she choked it back.
It's not like
She started, fought harder against the lump in her throat.
I'm unhappy. I get to spend time with you and our friends. We can basically do whatever we want. We get to help build a whole society.
Sure, that's great, Vriska paused. But what do you need?
Oh, why is this such a hard question? Some great seer of mine that I can't even look inside my own mind and
Maybe it wasn't that complicated. Maybe she was overthinking this a lot. Breathe. Terezi took a deep breath, held it in for a moment, and let it out. Vriska wasn't saying anything, just delicately playing her fingers along the base of Terezi's horns. It felt so wonderful, and Terezi wished she could just. Sometimes the answers we seek aren't complex or nuanced, or overly complicated with dozens of steps.
I want to just be able to enjoy everything. What we're doing right now. I want to be able to understand that I did everything I could and that you're back, that everything is the way it is. I just want to be my own person instead of feeling like I'm still tied to regrets or over something I didn't even have control over in the first place.
Terezi felt angry and frustrated, but she wasn't even sure at what. The universe? Which one? Some cosmic entity that had manipulated her fate? Pretty sure all those were dead and gone now. A little squeeze at the base of her horn, and Terezi closed her eyes. It felt good. And how can I help? And that was wrong, because Vriska wasn't the one who needed to help. She was the one who'd been through hell and come back on the other side. She was the one who needed to be helped. Except that they all had. They'd all been through hell and come out the other side. After a certain point, it became only a difference of degrees, for the end result was the same. What good was being there to support someone if you kept denying that you ever needed support yourself?
Tell me how you feel about me,
Terezi said. Her voice sounded so small, so far away. She felt vulnerable.
please.
Okay, Vriska said. She paused for a moment. Didn't answer right away. Terezi noticed that her heart was beating faster. She wasn't exactly nervous, but Terezi couldn't quite put her finger on it. Okay, so I love you, and maybe that sounds real stupid and silly, but I've never told anyone that before, because I don't think I've ever felt that about anyone before. I know that we did some really fucked up shit to each other back on Alternia, and her hand went briefly away from Terezi's horns, and Terezi knew she'd touched the center of her chest, a memory that this version of Vriska never had, but somehow Terezi knew that she was aware of it. Some part of her. And off of Alternia too, she continued. And when I was trapped inside the black hole, I kept thinking about you and how much I'd hurt you, but also how much I missed you and how we barely got a chance to get things off the ground. And I meant what I said on the meteor, but also I don't think I understood what it meant. And when I came back, I say it like it just happened, but I spent so long thinking it over. When I came back, I wanted to find you again because I wanted to be there to help you and protect you and care for you and all. She took a second to slow her breathing. Her heart quieted a little. But I also wanted to find you because I wanted to share life with you. To be able to do things together and tell fucking stupid ass jokes and laugh. To be close to you like this. Briscoe ran a hand up under Terezi's neck, touching a particularly tender spot. Because we never got to do any of this before, not really. Because being soft and squishy on Alternio would get us culled, and being like this during the game would have gotten us killed by a dozen fucking monsters. But now, she leaned in and, at the same time, slipped a hand behind Terezi's neck and lifted her up. Terezi knew exactly what Briscoe wanted to do, could feel the heat off her cheeks. Terezi could hear her breathing quicken in anticipation.
Go ahead,
Terezi said softly. Briscoe leaned over more, and Terezi reached up and wrapped her hands around her wife's neck. Their lips met, and Terezi let herself savor the feeling. The soft taste of her wife's lipstick, the texture of the tip of her tongue. It felt like too little time had passed when Briscoe broke the kiss, and Terezi settled back into her lap, smiling. Point is, Briscoe said, sounding a little bit flustered, I didn't want just one thing from you. I wanted all the things. I wanted to be able to be around you and help you and all that, but also, I want you to feel like you can open up to me and do your own things too. I'm not going to go flying off the handle or shut down or feel like you're being selfish. I don't know. Maybe in the past I had that kind of stuff in me, but it's been a long time, you know? And strangely enough, Terezi felt like she did know. Because even though she hadn't had the unique experience of living and reliving her entire past life in a time warp pocket dimension, she did have the unique experience of having at least trace memories of hundreds of doomed timelines. Memories that were hers, but also weren't. Other Terezis that had lived and died and never lived at all.
Yeah, I do know,
Terezi said, her own voice still and quiet. The thunder cracked outside, and she felt Vriska jump, followed that with a nervous laugh. Terezi reached up and took Vriska's hand, squeezing tightly. Got your own storms, Vriska said. Your own things that bother you, put you on edge, or make you feel like maybe something's just wrong. So please don't think I'm ever too occupied for that.
Vriska?
Terezi said, closing her eyes. Vriska responded with a low,
I like being here like this. I feel safe and warm and happy. You asked me what I need. Well, right now, I need this.
Vriska didn't say anything back. She didn't need to. The fact that she responded by squeezing Terezi's hand again and then settling back into the couch with Terezi's head still in her lap, that was enough. The fact that she continued to sit like that, softly stroking her wife's head until her hands slowed, then stopped. That was enough. Terezi could hear the soft snores as her wife slumbered, still holding onto her hand. And eventually, Terezi found herself growing tired. When the thunder passed on and outside, all was the comforting drone of the rain and nothing more. With Vriska's hand tucked under her chin, Terezi smiled and closed her eyes, because a nap seemed like a good idea under the circumstances. Personal growth almost never happens overnight. But Terezi felt like she was safe in a way she hadn't truly felt before. Safe to be herself, to exist for her own sake. And she knew beyond the shadow of the slightest doubt that Vriska would support her in that. Terezi let herself drift on the sounds of the rain and Vriska's even snoring. And as Terezi felt herself moving past that indefinable threshold between waking and sleeping, she realized that this life she'd made for herself, this was enough. And that is the end. Thank you all for listening. I've been kind of glancing over at the chat. I'm not trying to respond because I didn't want to break the flow, but I'm glad that you liked the voices. Although I don't think I made this account for this too is still in the chat, but I do appreciate that. I like doing the voices a lot. So I'm trying to stretch my range more, and bi-gender voice training is not an easy thing to do. Um, so I like the chance to do different voices. Terezi is really hard for me. It's really hard to do Terezi's voice without blowing my voice out. So I just talk quiet and get really close to the microphone. I'm glad that you all liked it. I had a lot of fun writing this. Thank you so much. Is this what fan fiction is about? For me, it is. For me, fan fiction is about processing unresolved emotional trauma that the epilogues did not adequately address. I read Homestuck in like 2 months, and then I started reading the epilogues, and oh boy, that was an experience. So I said, fuck this shit, I'm going to write my own epilogues. They're all emotional growth, except there's some weird time shit in like the second one, or I guess it's like the fourth one now. But it's to set up Vriska's character development. This is kind of in the middle of the continuity. There's a bunch of stuff that's happened and some stuff that happens after, but it's fun to write. So so we've only been doing this for about a half hour. So if people want, oh okay, yeah, sure. Um, no, if people want, we can do another story. I've got lots. What kind of story do y'all want to hear? So I've got. If you want to stick with my own work, we've got a number of things. I'm not going to read Heir to the Listless because the Will It Homestuck crew, Bucky and Clever, have been reading that, and I'm so fucking flattered that someone actually is reading my work, and I love hearing someone else's interpretation of it. So I'm not going to step on their toes. Um, but I really love that. I like that story a lot, and I'm glad that they're reading it. So we've basically got more of the same kind of stuff. There's differing degrees of like how up tempo or down tempo it is. There's a Terezi focused story that's kind of mellow, although it doesn't really get. You want fluff? Okay, let's see what we've got. Fluff I can probably do. We've got a platonic date between Jade um and Vriska, actually. If anyone's interested in that. It's one of my least viewed stories. No, that's not true. It's not the least, but it's down there. Okay. Yes, platonic. So in this AU, and this is somewhat important, Jade is aromantic asexual in this, and sex repulse. That's all plot important to various things. Yeah, well, platonic ship. It's a platonic ship. So I've started. No, it's fine. I've started. I use the term ship very loosely. I've started exploring the idea of doing more with QPPs, queer platonic partnerships, and such. So yeah, sure. I don't know how I'm going to do a Jade voice. Jade is probably going to sound a lot like Friska, but you'll be able to figure it out. Cool. Maybe I could do Jade with a southern accent. Yes, I'll do that. Jade is southern now. Okay, here we go. This is friend date. Jade Harley and Vriska Circuit take a nighttime walk after seeing a movie together and open up about feelings. A short platonic relationship fills story set in the middle of my alt epilogue timeline. So this is set after June does her whole therapy thing and helps a bunch of people, and before Aradia comes back. Gotta get some water before I start. All right. It was just after 10 at night, but the new Carapacia shopping plaza and Spendatorium was lit by dozens of electric lamps that burned all along the sidewalks. Jade Harley walked down the concrete path with Vriska Circuit, the two of them taking the meandering pace of those who were simply out for the pure enjoyment of it, without anywhere they needed to be. I'm pretty sure that John McClane didn't actually dress up as Santa in the original movie, Jade was saying, her face lighting up as she laughed. It was just the joke line, but they really took it and ran with it. Vriska grinned. Oh, what about the part where Hans Gruber just says no a bunch of different ways for 5 fucking minutes? Also, his name changes to Han Grutter for the second half of the movie, and no one even fucking notices. Jade put a hand over her face, giggling. I thought the improvised rap battle at the end was a bit much. Dave was really messing with the Carpacians when he told them about that. I didn't think they'd actually put it in. Please, Briska snorted.
They'll pretty much take anything literally when it comes to human culture. I don't know what it is they love so much about your movies, but they're pretty fucking gullible.
Jade laughed again, and the two friends lapsed into silence, continuing their slow stroll down the pathway. Despite the late hour, the Spendatorium still had quite a few Carapacians walking around, enjoying the pleasantly warm night air. There were a few trolls as well, usually in pairs or small groups. Most of the shops they passed were run by Carapacians, but they were intended to cater to a wide variety of tastes. Seeing a small stand selling popcorn, Vriska slowed and put a hand out.
Hey, I'm gonna get some of this. You want some, Harley?
Jade shook her head and Vriska shrugged.
Okay, suit yourself.
She handed the Carapacian working the stand a crumpled bill and took the popcorn. The Carapacian waited a moment, then handed the bill back and waved cheerfully.
That still takes some getting used to,
Jade said.
I don't even know why they bother with the money. It's completely unnecessary.
Vriska tossed a piece of popcorn into her mouth and crunched down loudly.
Fuck it. That makes them happy to mimic that piece of human culture, too. I think I've given that same dollar to about 20 Carapacians today. You know, we could just alchemize all the popcorn you want. Sure, but what's the fun in that?
Vriska grinned and ate a handful of popcorn.
It's kind of like, I don't know, kind of like role-playing as a normal human with a normal life, you know?
They walked further down the path, past the end of the shops proper, and into an expanse of greenery that had been carefully arranged to provide a pleasant place to sit. A wide staircase led down to a central fountain, surrounded by an open space lined with benches, bushes, and small trees. The lighting was subdued, being primarily provided by faint streetlights fashioned after old-timey gas lamps. There was no one here. The Carapacians were extremely social creatures in general, and would typically stick to the more crowded shopping center during the later hours.
You want to sit for a while?
Jade asked. She started towards a bench, and Vriska nodded and followed. They sat together. Jade leaned forward with her head propped on her hands, and Vriska leaned back, munching on the popcorn. Silence fell over them. The faint sound of the fountain and the wind provided a natural ambiance that Jade found immensely comforting. In the distance, they could hear the faint bustle of the Carapacians enjoying their night.
Kind of like role-playing as a normal human with a normal life.
She'd sounded sad, almost. Jade stared at the fountain.
Vriska?
She asked. Vriska hummed through a mouthful of popcorn.
Do you wish you could have had a normal human life? What a weird question, Harley.
Vriska laughed, but it sounded forced. Jade sighed heavily. The silence between them came in again and sat there. This time it felt less comfortable, more oppressive. Only the sound of Vriska chewing punctuated the quiet. Yeah, Jade started to speak but cut herself off. After a moment, she heard the crunching of popcorn stop.
Oh, God. I'm so sorry.
What?
I didn't mean to get like this.
Jade sighed.
Forget it. I'm sorry. I was being rude.
She felt a hand touch her shoulder and turned to see Vriska looking at her. The troll's eyes were watery and her face scrunched up like she was trying very hard not to cry.
Jade, I'm sorry. I wanted to do this thing with you, this friend date. I didn't mean to drag it down like this.
Vriska was sounding distinctly unlike Vriska at that point. Jade smiled and shook her head.
You didn't drag anything down. It's fine.
Vriska didn't look any less like she was about to cry.
I'm not the same person you all thought I was when I came back,
she said softly. Her hand was clutched on Jade's shoulder. At this point, it looked more like she was doing it for support as much as to reach out to a friend.
I mean, I know about the whole black hole thing,
Jade said, but Vriska shook her head.
I still can't really describe that experience. How different I felt. I feel, I guess.
She paused. She was clearly searching for the words. Jade reached out and placed her hand over Vriska's, squeezing slightly. Vriska smiled at this.
I feel kind of like my life was put on pause. Like I went in and I came out and time had passed, but it hadn't. And even though I was the same age and it kind of felt like I just picked up after,
I also felt like a completely different person, like she motioned with her free hand vaguely, twirling it around and wiggling her fingers. Like I was just kind of given a new personality in some ways. And I try to be me. I try to keep the stuff that people think I'm about, being a total badass and being the greatest and all that shit. She trailed off and moved her hand back off of Jade's shoulder. Vriska clasped her hands together and held them in front of her face. But inside, I guess I kind of feel both like I'm 1,000 years old and 19, all at the same time, if that makes any kind of sense. And Vriska's eyes were watering up more now, and she was starting to cry. And I just wish I could have lived some kind of normal life. Not like on Alternia with all the culling and death, and not like I think I did with the game. Just going to the movies and hanging out with my friends, being a normal fucking person. A small sob pushed its way out of Vriska's throat, and Jade wanted more than anything to give her a big hug. Jade, I'm sorry. This really was very un-Vriska-like of her, but that wasn't exactly true anymore. What was Vriska-like had changed a lot. Vriska, Jade said softly, leaning in towards the troll, it's okay to not be okay with what you went through in the past. It's normal to wish things were better. I do that all the time. Vriska looked into Jade's eyes, and Jade found herself wondering what exactly it was she was thinking. I know that, Vriska said with a half smile. It doesn't change anything. It just feels like I had so much time to think about all the regrets, even if it doesn't register in a way you think it might. It's part of who you are now. Jade looked at Vriska, seeing the troll's eyes narrow slightly. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Just that what you went through in the black hole is part of who you are. You're a different person than we remembered. That's okay. We just had to realize that too. Jade sighed and moved closer, putting her arms out to hug Vriska. She waited, and when Vriska nodded slightly, she moved forward and enveloped Vriska in her arms, her fluffy black hair pressed up against the troll's nose and making her sneeze softly. I was so scared when I saw all those visions from other timelines, Jade said. All the things that could have been or would have been or maybe never should have been at all. I always felt like someone was taking away some essential element of who I was, like they were robbing me of my volition. It took me a long time to accept those visions were part of who I was and that I could either accept them or keep fighting forever. And I feel like I wanted to die. Briska sniffed. I don't feel like I want to die. I just wish things had been better. Wish I had been better. I know you do, Jade said, drawing Briska in a little closer. But you're here now. You've got people that care about you and love you. We're here for you. And we understand that you're being sincere. All of us are. Jane let go of her hug and sat back a little, looking into Briska's eyes. The troll was still crying a little, but she was smiling through it. I just don't want you to hate me. I'm so worried that you'll hate me. And this was something Jade still wasn't used to seeing Briska Circuit open like this. For the entire time Jade had known Briska, she had projected an aura of absolute confident certainty at all times. She was the one who knew what was going on and how to get stuff done. She was self-assured and capable. She was truly invulnerable. Looking at the quietly tearful woman across from her, Jade realized something. That the Vriska she thought she'd known was, at least in part, an act. It was a careful combination of attitude and distance that formed the social armor that had protected Vriska from the reality she'd had to face every day. How much must it have hurt to have that armor peeled back, piece by piece, until there was nothing left but whatever essential core of Vriska remained? She was truly vulnerable. Vriska, we love you. You're our friend. We've all been through so much. I think that we're all allowed to just kind of live now, okay? Make up for lost time? Vriska asked, her voice quaking slightly. Like June, just wanting to live? Jade shrugged. What else are we gonna do? We're all immortal now. Wasn't 1,000 years of self-loathing enough for a while? Vriska looked up toward the dark night sky. There was a smile on her face. I wish it was that easy to just stop feeling like this. Jade leaned over and placed an arm around Vriska's shoulders. Yeah, me too. It never is, but that's okay. You got lots of people who love you, care about you. And maybe sometimes it'll be harder than other times, but we're all going to be there for you. You got partners that all love you so much and friends that care about you. She squeezed Vriska lightly, and Vriska laughed. The sound was clear, somewhat musical, and completely genuine. Okay, I guess I can live with that, Harley. The two women, both goddesses in their own right, sat leaning against each other for quite a while longer. Neither of them said anything. They both seemed to sense that to do so would break the pleasant spell that they existed under in that moment, and so they savored that moment for as long as they could. And when it was time, they got up and walked away together, as the sound of their footsteps, pleasant conversation faded into the night. And that is the end of that one. Probably worth pointing out that at this point in the continuity, Vriska, Kanaya, Rose, and Terezi are all in a poly relationship. So yeah, lots of stuff have happened, lots of relationship stuff. I hope that y'all like that. Cool. Awesome. Great. Yeah, I had a lot of fun writing that. I don't remember why I wrote it. I think I just wanted to write something that wasn't like a 20,000 word massive piece, and just wanted to write something fun and nice. So, and we've still got. I figured I can do this for an hour or two. So, if y'all still want to hear me read stuff, I can do that. Yes, I like writing soft things. Not all the time. The Jane Noir stuff is very is weird because it's like it's got really soft parts in it, but it's also got some real rough stuff in it. It does end on a very nice note though, so that at least is good. But yeah, if y'all still want to hear me read stuff, I can do that. Um, if you, yeah, I agree. I think it came out well with the tone. That's always tough to balance, and it's also tough to balance with characters that already exist because people have their own views of who they are, and I've obviously taken them in a particular direction that not everyone is gonna vibe with, but I try to establish it enough that people won't be like, "What the fuck were you thinking?" Um, so yeah, but like I said, if we want to read something else, I've got more. I've got more kind of lighthearted stuff. Do what would be good for lighthearted stuff? Probably the June Egbert stuff. The case files, which is like her doing therapy for people. Um, they all live. Yeah, Forever Hole is long and it's one piece. It's like a 45-minute read. Um, Piece of Each of Our Hearts is not a very it's a kind of downer for a lot of it. It's got a lot of time loop kind of weird stuff. But yeah, um, let me see something here. I don't remember what the first volume is. Oh, go away, Firefox. Uh, Yes, the case files is fun. I'll read the case files. There's a lot of voices here. It's all in conversational format. So this is set after sort of the Vriska comes back plot line. Everyone's in their relationships, and June has decided that she is going to be a therapist because that's not a thing that exists on Earthsea. So she basically just kind of declares that she's Dr. June Egbert and reads a whole lot about therapy. It is established in other works that she's not just full of shit. So, the case files of Dr. June Egbert, MD, PhD, Esquire, Volume 1. These are the true life case files of Dr. June Egbert, MD, PhD, Esquire, the smartest and most adorable doctor professor on all of Earthsea. Get a rare peek inside the world of Dr. Joom's esteemed therapy practice as she offers life advice and brings people together so they can all be happier, healthier, and better friends. And this is an episodic fic with a heavy emphasis on the character relationships, etc., etc. It's dialogue. It's mostly dialogue and stuff. Get a good June voice.
Patient presented themselves with issues communicating with one of their partners. Patient is a 27 or 1013-ish, depending on how you count pocket dimensional time loops, year-old Alternian woman named Vriska Circuit. Enclosed is a collection of chat logs, diary entries, and other forms of media to document this case. All information is protected by Dr. Professor Patient confidentiality.
Chat log between Verska and June. I didn't label the chat log so great in this one, but you can probably figure it out.
Hey, June! I need some help with something sensitive. Of course, Vriska. I'm Dr. June Egbert, MD, PhD, Esquire. I have many credentials and also type incomplete sentences with periods. Did you know that I have a real diploma, a real degree? Did you alchemize a diploma? No. Maybe. Never mind. You're still better than Dave, who told me I needed to be in Chilmax prison, which I'm pretty sure isn't a real place. I don't think you need to be in any kind of prison, Vriska. What's on your mind?
Oh, for context, because I realize that it's going to be important. This is after Trezzy comes out as asexual. Trezzy is a not sex repulsed asexual in this continuity. Yeah, it's an alchemized honorary degree.
So I looked up asexual in the Carapacian internet. Rose told me that's the human word for what Trezzy feels, but they have a really shitty selection of websites. All I found was a site that said, asexual is a thing that humans do sometimes. What the fuck does that even mean? Why didn't you just ask Terezi how she feels specifically? I did, but also I wanted to be supportive and help her feel accepted. I thought maybe other people felt like that too, but I don't think the Carapacians think of sex the same way. What about the New Alternians or the Sea Nation? Ugh. The New Alternians have some bullshit about quadrants. They're different quadrants than before, but still the same stupid shit. So that's not great. The Sea Trolls have something they call BubbleNet, and I can't log on to it. So you message your good friend Dr. June Egbert. A wise decision, if a correct one. Callie and I did some reading in some of the books they had access to. Not a lot of information, but from what we could find, it doesn't sound too complicated. Terezi basically doesn't feel the same need to have sex like you or me. Maybe she feels good doing it, but if she doesn't have sex, it doesn't get to her. So she might do it to make her partners happy or just feel good herself. But it doesn't connect to her in the same way. Is it weird I'm afraid of hurting her? Like, I don't want to make her uncomfortable? Like, I'm afraid to suggest stuff sometimes. Has she set limits on what she's okay with? Some, but not everything is specific. So remember what she says and talk to her without being pushy. I had another problem. Maybe you can apply your Dr. Professor brain to it. Emoji. That's my Dr. Professor top hat for my giant brain. Oh, I am immediately and permanently regretting this. Don't be like that, Vriska. I promise not to be silly for at least the duration of this conversation. Fine. Okay, so maybe I was talking with Rose. Maybe it got a little intimate conversation-wise, maybe a little flirty, and maybe Kanaya suggested that we just please go do it already so I can read quietly for the next 20 minutes. Does sound kind of like her. Rose starts blushing and kind of laughs it off, but Kanaya was being serious and but kind of wanted to do it. I mean, a lot wanted to do it. Oh, Jesus. You tell anyone I will hate you forever. Excuse me, can I get a quick confirmation on something that came up in a session? Unfortunately, I can't divulge the name of the source for this. But did you say, and this is a direct quote, just please go do it already so I can read quietly for the next 20 minutes, with regards to the potential for certain types of consensual amorous activity between two parties you are currently in a partnership with? Do not is absurd.
Obviously, I was completely misunderstood on a fundamental level. As to the facts of the matter, what I said precisely was, just please go have sex already so I can read quietly for the next 30 minutes.
So why didn't you have sex with Rose?
What? What a crazy thing to say. Because even if that were a thing I wanted to do, why would you even ask me that?
Because you told me like 10 minutes ago you wanted to. Priska, you're acting like Terezia's a glass egg that you're gonna break. You keep going back and forth about Rose. You keep focusing on your worry. Why don't you talk to me about Vriska and what she feels right now?
Vriska is afraid she's going to hurt everyone all over again because she spent what felt like 1,000 years reliving all of it. Because every time I saw what I did to Terezi or Tavros, people I claimed I was friends with, the woman I loved, now maybe Vriska is terrified she's a broken monster who no one can love and she's only good at hurting everyone.
I don't think that feeling is just gonna go away one day. But I do think you should tell your partners about it. Unless you've already done that?
No.
All right, group chat. AG created the group, so I have something to tell you. AG added GC, TT, and GA. Excuse me.
So this is going to be long and rambling, but please listen. I never told you a lot of stuff about when I was gone. None of you, not even Rezi. I was in the black hole for what felt like 976 years. I have no idea how I even know that, but that's the number. I relived all the bad stuff I ever did, like the stuff I did to Tavros. I lived through 22,619 times. Exactly. I counted. I could understand what was happening, but nothing I did stopped it. I was forced to watch myself do those horrible things over and over and over again. So if I get kind of weird, please be patient with me, because I feel like y'all deserve better than me. But I love all of you so much. I love the life we have together. And I don't want that all to end because y'all realize that I'm a bad person. Vriska, we need to talk to you offline. Rose is absolutely correct.
Right the fuck now, Vriss.
Dear Diary, I was so afraid when they told me they needed to talk to me. I got off the computer and walked into the study, and I was convinced they were going to yell at me. I was sure that Rezi was going to tell me she hated me now, and that she remembered everything I did to her in Alternia, and just didn't want to be with me anymore. I was sure Kanaya was going to tell me I never loved her in the first place, and was just playing. Rose was going to be disgusted with me and never want to speak to me again. I walked into the study, and they were all sitting there. Kanaya was in her favorite chair in the corner, sitting in that fussy way she does with her legs crossed and her hands kind of folded in her lap. Rose was sitting on the floor near the chair, cross-legged, and Terezi was standing and kind of leaning against the wall, looking down like she had something to say. So I walked into the room and looked around, and I was getting ready for them to start yelling, and Terezi walks up to me, and she puts her hand on my face, and she looks right at me, and she tells me, "I'm sorry." And I could see tears in her eyes, and she kissed me on the lips. I've never been so confused in my life. She looks at me again, and she tells me she didn't realize I'd been reliving everything so many times, and she tells me she should have realized when she saw how different I was when I got back, and then she just started talking. She said she hated the way things were on Alternia, and how we always had to fight each other, and how everything was built on hatred and violence and competition. She hated Doc Scratch and everything he stood for. She hated the way it warped and twisted us. She told me that she had been so happy when I showed up because it gave us a chance to do things right this time. And when she saw how much I'd changed, she felt comfortable telling me about her asexuality. That's the word for it. I learned that word, um, and how much she felt about me and everything. And when I listened to her, she said that that made her feel happy and safe and loved. Darcy sits down on the floor near Rose, and then Kanaya walks over to me, and she puts her arms around me, and she was just holding me. And I could feel how warm she was and smell her perfume, and I don't know.
I felt safe. Kanai didn't say much. She was talking very softly, but I think I remember everything. She said, "I love you very much. I think I have always loved you. I know that you love me back, and that makes me happy. I try not to worry about the specific route we took to get here, and focus on where we are." And she held me very close, and I could feel her fingers in my hair, and it's over way too soon, and she goes and sits down again. Rose didn't get up. She asked me to come sit with her, so I sat on the floor next to her, and she was in my lap and really close, and she smelled nice too, and she told me she loved me. I don't think she actually said that before. She kissed me on the neck, the exact same spot as that one night last year, and I'm pretty sure she did that on purpose. And then they were all sitting around me on the floor, and we were talking, and they were all telling me how much they cared about me and how glad they were that I felt safe enough around them to open up about what happened. And I tried to explain, but I don't know if I even understood myself what happened, but I tried. I've never felt like this before. I was so lonely on Alternia, so afraid of myself. I hated myself so much, and it ate into everything I ever did. I'm not used to feeling this way, to feeling loved, to feeling like I'm not a complete piece of shit. Really trying to do better.
Chat between Terezi and Vriska.
I didn't know. I'm sorry. I know we talked about a lot of it, but I had no idea how bad it was. I get it now. Why you seem so different when you came back. I was afraid you'd hate me, or be afraid of me, or just not love me anymore. I think I know how you feel. I was so sure you'd hate me if I told you how I felt, but you didn't. You kept loving me. We were both being stupid. Yep.
And this is the group chat called So I Have Something to Tell You that it opened from before. It's the same group chat.
If it pleases the court, I want this on record. I love Risk a Circuit.
Oh, is this what we are doing right now? This seems like a very worthwhile thing to do. I also love Risk a Circuit. I guess that's what we're doing right now. That's not what I expected, but expectations were meant to be defied, I suppose. I love Risk a Circuit too.
That was a wide-eyed surprise, Spider.
Chat between Vriska and June.
So they all just started telling me they love me? This feels weird, but not in a bad way. I'm just not used to being anything other than hated. That feeling will go away eventually. You're not a bad person, Vriska. But how can anyone say that? Why the fuck do you all love me? I did so many bad things. Why don't you ask them that question?
We are back in the I Have Something to Tell You group chat.
So, why? Why do you all love me? You know what I've done, how many trolls I killed, how terrible I was. Why the fuck do you all care so much?
In the end, the dead know peace. In the end, the dead know no suffering. Only the living suffer, for only the living remain to keep the memory of suffering itself. Let us therefore exalt not the dead, but instead grant mercy unto the living, for only in mercy can the living know peace as well. Something I read in a book that seemed appropriate. Some humans had an idea of something we call restorative justice. The idea was that instead of blindly punishing and hurting someone, they would instead do everything they could to make amends and heal those they hurt. You suffered so much for so long. It would have been easy for you to come back full of rage and be ready to destroy this world. But you came back. I don't know how to put it. Oh shit, words are failing me, and this never happens.
You came back from hell because you loved me. Even after that, you held me when I was scared at night. When I came out to you were gentle to me. You listened to me. You didn't try to force me to do anything. You didn't even think about trying to do that. You made me feel important, special, loved.
I remember when you told me about the time loop. About what happened to Rose and myself. And about what happened to me specifically. You did everything you could to make sure that never happened, to keep Rose and I together. And when I told you how I felt about you later, you were tender. You never mocked me or made me feel bad. You were considerate and kind. You opened your heart to me without closing it off to others. You were honest with me. You told me how you felt, and you listened to me and tell you how I felt. You could have taken advantage of that fact that I was physically attracted to you, but instead you decided that you would slow down so I could see how I felt. And when I started realizing I was falling in love with you, you were loving. It didn't make me feel bad about my decision.
Seriously, if you can't see why we all love you after this, I think it's time for some reading glasses.
Tentacle Therapist changed the name of the group to People Who Love Vriska.
Dear Diary, I think maybe I had this wrong. I got so used to hating myself that I never stopped to consider there might be a time I didn't do that anymore. All the energy I poured into looking like I had my shit together when I was really falling apart at all the seams, all the fucking time. And then spending those centuries in that other place, having to constantly confront what I'd been and done. But hearing them all say those things about me, seeing how they look at me when we're together, seeing how much they all love me, and I don't have to put on an act or be a different person, because I guess I already am a different person. Briska Circuit died 6 years ago when I fell into the black hole. Briska Circuit was born 900 years later when I crawled out again. I'm wondering if maybe I don't hate myself as much anymore.
All right. That is the end of the first chapter. So these are all self-contained. All the June Egbert stories are designed to be read individually. So they all follow slightly different characters and they all have slightly different themes. I hope that you all enjoyed that. Felicia, I'm glad to hear that it had an impact. I really, that means a lot to me. Everything I write has pieces of me in it. Which pieces they are and where they come from and how they're used are different. Oh no, I'm sorry. Let me see if there's one that's less like that. There are a couple that are more humorous. Let me see what the others are. What is the case of this? The Jade one is kind of. Oh, oh, this might be a fun one. Like I said, they're all individual. Oh, this is actually kind of. Is this the one I'm thinking of? Hold on one second. I've got to check something. She accidentally. Or this one. There's a Jane one that's this one is okay. So we've got in the June Egbert in this one we've got this one that I think is Roxy coming out as non-binary. Yes. So we got Roxy coming out as non-binary, Jade coming out as Arrow Ace, and dealing with her past with Terezi. We've got Jane dealing with depression, which is sort of a downer in the beginning, but ends nicely. And then we've got Jane dealing with Roxy gender. Okay, cool. I was going to say we've got Jane dealing with unrequited feelings, and that one is kind of a little bit humorous, a little bit, hey Jane, get your shit together. But yes, we can do Roxy. We can do Roxy. So again, in this continuity, Roxy, Callie, and June are all in a relationship together. They are all living together and have been for a while. So let me just get some more water, and then we will start with Roxy gender. This is another one that's very, very close to home for me. All right.
Patient is a 26-year-old human woman named Roxy Lalonde. She is presenting with unspecified issues and has repeatedly been told to contact the doctor professor through official channels only and not to stop in for a quick chat real quick in the hallway on taco night. Enclosed is a collection of chat logs, diary entries, and other forms of media to document this case. All information is protected by doctor professor patient confidentiality.
We have a chat between Roxy and June.
Okay, June, what the fuck is the deal? Why can't I just talk to you in person again? I'm not June. I'm Dr. June Egbert, MD, PhD, Esquire, esteemed doctor professor, and also very professional therapist. Fine, Doc. Can I maybe talk to you for a second? Of course. Have you made an appointment with my assistant yet? Wait, what? You're what? You don't have an assistant. That's stupid. Au contraire. That's fancy French for on contrary, I think. If the patient doesn't mind, my assistant Casey will be sitting in on this session. Okay.
June added Casey Egbert, CE, to the chat.
Excellent, Casey. I am excited to get to work as well. You have any comments for our patient at this time? Ah, yes, good. Wait, hold on a second. BRB. Wait, Roxy, you aren't allowed into my offices while I'm conducting a lab coat. Standard Dr. Professor attire, I assure you. I'm pretty sure shrinks don't usually wear those. Who is the expert here? I mean, technically? Very good point, Casey. I do believe the patient is sidetracking. Oh, Jesus Christ. So what precisely is the matter you wanted to discuss? If it was important enough to preempt tacos, well, it must be quite something. Okay. So I've been doing a lot of thinking about stuff like, who I am, and, I don't know if I'm a woman. Neat. Are you trans like me then? That's awesome. Not exactly. I don't think I'm a man either. I think I might be like how Callie is, not non-binary. Oh, that's great, Rox. Oh, shoot. Do you want me to call you something different? No, I'm good with Roxy or Rox. You can call me whatever pronouns, she or they or whatever. I don't really care right now. Please, well, I concur, Casey. This is a big step. Rox, if there's anything I can do to help out, please let me know. Yeah, I can do that. Thanks. You're welcome. I don't know what they're saying.
This is from Rox, Foxy Roxy at carapacia.net, to Junie, June Egbert, Callie, Umbral Fickwriter, Vriska, Flarp Goddess 8, Rezi, Justice for All, Rose, R. Lalonde, Kanaya, Fashion Vamp, Jade, Dog Goddess at newalternia.net, Jane, J. Crocker at cu.edu, Dave, Turntech Godhead, and Carkles, Carcat0612 at AOL.com. Important announcement. I'd like everyone to know I'm pretty sure I'm non-binary. You can keep calling me Roxy, and either they, them, or she, her pronouns are fine. Whatever you feel more comfortable with. I'd prefer if you avoid feminine terms of reference, girl, cis, chick, etc., if possible. If anyone wants to chat, please message me. Hugs and kisses, Rox. From Vriska.
Badass, you rock that shit, Lalonde.
From Callie.
I'm so happy that you trusted me enough to feel safe coming out to me. If there's anything I can do at all, please let me know. I can imagine exactly how you must be feeling. Your love, Callie.
From Junie.
I'm very proud of you for having the courage to do this. If you want to talk, I'm always here. Or if you want to talk to Dr. June, MD, PhD, Esquire, I hear that appointments to see her can be scheduled through Casey Egbert.
Back to June. June, I'm not scheduling an appointment through a salamander. From Rose.
It makes me so happy to hear you discovering new things about yourself. If you ever have the desire to talk, please let me know, and I would be more than happy to chat. Our home will ever be open to you, should you ever want to stop by. Most sincerely, Rose Lalonde.
From Rezi.
Nice.
From Kanaya.
I am truly glad that you chose to share such a personal piece of information with all of us. We are all here to love and support you however you need. And should you ever, perhaps, need to sit and chat or have a cup of coffee, we would be more than happy to have you over at our place. Vriska has just informed me that she is of the belief that it is badass that you have come out as non-binary, and I am inclined to agree. Warmest regards, Kanaya Mariam.
From Dave. Yo, that's dope as fuck. Reply from mail domain at newalternia.net. This message was undeliverable due to the following reason. Each of the following recipients was rejected by the remote mail server. The reasons given by the server are included to help you determine why each recipient was rejected. Recipient, dog goddess at newalternia.net. Reason, recipient address rejected, user account closed. That becomes important in the next chapter. From Jane. Got a voice I want to do, Jane.
I'm very pleased.
I'm very pleased to hear that you are discovering new things about yourself. Please come visit sometime. We have been developing an extensive gender studies program at C University here in C Nation. Professor Jane Crocker, Department of Culinary Arts, C University.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I got to do Carcat's voice. I forgot about that. From Carkles, Carcat0612 at AOL.com, and he replied to everyone.
Dave, how do I make this stupid email thing work right? Fuck!
And that's the only Carcat I'm doing today. Maybe. From, this is, okay, we've got Roxy and Kelly.
Hey, sorry about this. I feel a little more comfy on text, you know. I completely understand. What is on your mind, love? Dunno, just trying to figure this out. You've been out so long now. Any advice? June's so fucking sweet, but everything was very different. Well, maybe not that different after all. Like, how do I dress? Can I still keep my hair like this? Should I be, like, wearing, I don't know, wizard robes or some shit? Shit, Rose might have wizard robes. Roxy, there's no one right or wrong way to be your gender. To be non-binary, or a woman, or a man, or whatever. Your gender isn't your presentation. Look however you want. Wear whatever you want. Be comfortable with who you are.
Oh shit, Callie.
I am legit crying right now. Thank you so much. Excuse me, I have to go AFK for a minute. There is a person crying. I desperately need to hug and kiss, if they don't mind. They don't.
Dave absolutely set that up.
Hey, June. I know it's late, but can I talk to you, like, just June for a minute, not Doc June?
Of course. Casey, please give us a moment.
Casey, I disconnected from chat.
What's up? June, you still love me?
I do. Why wouldn't I love you?
Because I'm not me anymore, right? The me you fell in love with. I'm a different me, and maybe June doesn't love that me like she loved the old me. You know?
Hold on, I have to go AFK for a minute. It sounds like someone in the house needs me right now.
Group chat. June created the group Household Feelings Jam. June added Roxy, Kelly, and Casey Egbert.
Is it necessary to have Casey here? Of course, Casey is a critical part of the healing process. It's okay. They didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Kaylee, I think you should apologize to Casey.
Casey, I am genuinely sorry. I shouldn't have questioned your presence. You are as much a part of the family as any of us. Please forgive my rudeness. Thank you. That means a lot to me. I have a great deal of respect for you as well. I've got a small request.
Of course, what do you need?
So, I'm getting really uncomfortable with she, her. Can you please use they, them from now on?
Sure thing.
Yes, of course. Oh my god. Thank you both so much. I don't know how to thank you. You're such good partners, and I love you both so much. We love you, Rox. You are our family. I love her. Our friend. We will always love you, no matter who you discover you are.
They're right there, you know. We love you both no matter what.
And we're both so glad you're learning more about yourself. Thanks, Casey. You're right. Gender is basically such bullshit, anyways.
This is between Callie and June.
Excuse me, I have a Dr. June Egbert, MD, PhD, Esquire type issue of the utmost importance.
Of course. What can I do for you?
In my professional capacity, of course. That's my giant brain, Dr. Professor Top Hat, but at a jaunty angle. Doctor, I found a large amount of Casey snacks in your lab coat. The lab coat which went through the wash cycle.
Oh shit, I forgot about those.
Yes, obviously. Point being, I need Dr. June to come help clean up the laundry room.
That's my top hat back at a sad angle.
Oh, just grab a rag and come help me. Hold Me Tighter, a poem by Roxy Lalonde. You heard me crying when I was silent. You came through the still midnight dark, arrived at my door, opened my heart. Your arms around me circled tight. My mind's protest, you will never be loved again, died before it ever touched my lips, died when I saw your face. You asked for nothing, smiled for nothing, held me for nothing, kissed me for nothing, told me you love me however I am, and asked for nothing. To you, a Roxy by any other name will be as sweet, as much as the first day we fell in love, as beautiful and wonderful and special. You hold me tighter and ask for nothing.
Thank you. Yes, the Casey voice is very much impromptu. I've never voiced this before. And they can understand Casey. So that was a question someone actually asked in one of the comments, is whether or not they could actually understand Casey, or if Casey was just they were just making up what they were saying. But yes, they can understand them, except I guess Roxy, because she says she can, or at least she can at first. So I hope y'all like that. I think maybe if y'all still want to hear me read, I'll do one more, and then I think I'll call it for the night. So let me know if you want to hear more, and what kind of story you'd like to hear. We've got more June Egbert, and hold on, because there's the new one as well, which I don't remember what it's about. I'm a good author. I remember stuff. First case is... Oh, the one about Aradia, that's right. This one is a little bit on the longer side. Anyway, let me know in chat. Do you want me to read more? Do you want me to stop reading for the night? What kind of stuff do you want to hear? I figure we got one more here. All right. Cool, I can do that. June is always good. All right. In that case, I may do... Which is the one that's humorous? There's one that's a little bit on the funnier side. I don't think it's... This one is... Jane and Terezi mostly. Actually, this one is this one's lighthearted, more or less. So this is Jane has an unrequited crush on Terezi, and has to deal with that. And also, it's the merging of my AUs. So in universe, it's implied that Jane was starting to write the detective fiction that I actually did write, except it's different. So, and she doesn't complete it. So yeah, I think I'll read this one. This is the case of the unrequited interest. And I've really got to nail my Jane voice here. I think I'm going to go with the film noir Jane voice. Give me 1 second. All right. Just for some background, so Jane was dealing with depression in the previous chapter and has dealt with it to some degree. She is in the process of dealing with it, since depression isn't just something that just goes away. So yeah.
Patient is a 27-year-old Alternian woman named Terezi Pyrope. She approached me requesting privacy with a delicate matter involving a friend. Enclosed is a collection of chat logs, diary entries, and other forms of media to document this case. All information is protected by Dr. Professor Patient confidentiality.
Journal 129. Good day overall. Terezi stayed over for the night and we got to watch a bunch of movies together. Well, she listened to the movies and said she could smell the colors coming off the TV, which I'm not sure I believe, but she seems to have that kind of ability, so maybe. Got really far into my novel, too. It turned out really well. Really happy with how the twists work. I think I need to change some of the stuff around and finish it, especially if I want to show it to anyone. Specifically, the names need to be changed. It's not like it's really based in reality anyway. It's like an alternative universe kind of thing.
Gallows Calibrator and Gutsy Gumshoe.
Hey, Jane, so I kind of think we need to talk real quick. I'm not mad, but seriously? Jane, you there? Jane, seriously, what the shit?
I'm so sorry, Terezi. I had a bunch of finals videos to review and I couldn't respond. So what do you want to talk about? I've got some free time.
You know what? Never mind right now. It's fine. I'll talk to you later.
This is between Gallows Calibrator, Terezi, and Endocrine Biohacker was the screen name alternative suggested by someone on Discord for June.
Oh shit, June, I need advice. Like Dr. June, MD, PhD, whatever advice.
Dr. June is in. Casey is currently napping, but I can wake them if needed.
I'd actually rather this stay between us. At least for now.
Okay, that's pretty mysterious. What's wrong? Is everything okay with you, Vriska, Rose, and Kanaya?
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's not about them. It's about Jane.
Oh, is she okay? Is her depression getting bad again?
No, that's not it. So I spent the night at her house, just as a friend sleepover thing, and we watched movies and stuff. It was fun.
Okay, that sounds nice. Do you need my advice on party planning stuff? Because that seems less like a Dr. June and more of a June kind of thing.
Why is it so hard?
It's okay. I promise this won't leave the safety of this chat.
I saw this big, thick writing thing she was working on, and I got curious because the description on the first page, it sounded like a detective novel, and you know how I feel about that.
Of course.
I ended up staying up all night and reading it while Jane was asleep. I kind of didn't ask first.
Do you want to know how to tell Jane you read her novel without asking?
Kinda. More, wow, is it hot in here?
You're stalling. What's wrong?
I think Jane might have a crush on me. Like, more than a small one. She wrote me into her story as her character's love interest. And they got pretty hot and heavy toward the end. Chapter 12 is basically just them having sex.
Well, sometimes our characters in fiction are inspired by those around us. Usually it's, at least to some degree, unconscious, so similarities between the characters and people don't necessarily mean anything. Jane probably just found your characteristics a good template for a certain character.
The characters are literally named Jane Crocker and Terezi Pyro. They are described in detail. They are literally us, June. What the fuck?
Oh, wow. I'm not actually sure what to say. Has she been acting differently toward you?
No, she's been acting like she always does. It just makes me feel uncomfortable. Like someone made me do something I didn't want to. Even though it's not really me, I feel stupid saying this now.
You don't need to feel stupid. That's a valid thing to feel. It's valid to feel that way.
I just wish I hadn't seen it. Like, now things are gonna feel weird. And I just want to go back to how it was.
I guess I see it as you have two choices. Either tell Jane about what you saw and how it makes you feel, or keep it to yourself and act like you never saw it. I can't tell you which will be better or easier for you, but I do think it's important for you to feel comfortable around your friends. So if it's making you feel really weird, I don't know, maybe worth bringing it up. It's not going to necessarily be an easy conversation, but maybe one you have to have. I'm sorry, Rezi. I wish I could give you a simple answer.
That's not your fault, June. It's not your fault. Thanks, June. I'll think more about this.
Gal's Calibrator and Gutsy Gumshoe.
Okay, seriously, we need to talk now. Please, I don't know if I can do this later.
Sure thing. I can talk right now.
So, I found the story you wrote, and I read it. All of it.
Oh shit.
Gutsy Gumshoe disconnected.
Fuck.
Terminal 131. Shit. Shit, 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 shit. Shit, shit, shit. Terzi found the story. Shit, shit, shit. Why did I write that darn thing? What was I thinking? Was I out of my gosh dang mind? Shit. She's gonna hate me something fierce now. She's not gonna want to be my friend, and she's never gonna want to speak to me again. I'm so goddamn stupid.
Jane, I'm not mad. I want to talk to you. Please. I swear to Gigas, I am not mad. Please call me when you see this. Hello, who is this? What time is it?
Sorry, it's me.
Jane, holy shit.
I know we need to talk. I was scared to call.
Okay, alright. Hold on 1 second. Alright, sorry. Stepped outside to talk. Listen, about your story.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry about that. I shouldn't have done that, and I know how you must feel.
I'm not sure you do. I'm not sure I do.
I'm so sorry. I just...
Jane, please stop talking for 1 second. Why did you write that?
Well, I'm not sure. I had this idea, and then I thought it'd be fun if I made myself a character, and my friends, and then I put you in there, and your character in mine, and, how much did you read again?
All of it.
So you saw...
Yes, Jane.
Oh god.
Jane, how do you feel about me exactly?
Well, you're a really good friend, and I like you a lot.
Oh, that's not what I meant, and you know it.
Are you gonna be mad?
I'm getting kind of mad that you won't just talk to me instead of being vague.
I got a heck of a crush on you. I think you're just swell. I didn't want to say anything because you're already with Vriska and Rose and Tanaya.
Okay.
Okay?
It doesn't bother me that you have a crush on me. The thing that bothers me is the sex stuff you wrote about me. And you, like, I get that it wasn't ever supposed to be seen by anyone, but also, like, feels like it did something you know I wouldn't be comfortable with. And it feels like you weren't thinking about me or our friendship.
I know, I wasn't even thinking about that. I wasn't expecting you to ever see it, or for anyone to ever see it. I guess I figured it would help me figure my feelings out, and I got kind of carried away.
Fuck!
What?
I feel like I should be madder about this than I am. Like, I'm mostly just annoyed more than anything. I wish you'd said something, I guess. But I guess it's also not my business how you feel in your head. I wish I hadn't found out like this.
I don't want to make our friendship weird.
Look, I gotta go. Let me call you back tomorrow, okay? This doesn't feel like something I can resolve in 10 or 15 minutes, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Gal's Calibrator, Tentacle Therapist, Grim Auxiliatrix, and Arachnid's Grasp in a group chat.
Guys, can you help me out? I know Rose is at her writing thing, and Kanai is at her fashion thing. Risk is on the computer playing stupid Dave Craft, but I need some advice.
Of course, we have plenty of time to help you out, Resi. I do not have to be at the Sea City Convention Center for at least 2 hours.
Karkat's being a dick anyway and hoarding all the ore. Okay, so when I was over at Jane's place, I found this story she wrote. I don't think anyone was supposed to read it, and I read it, which I feel kind of bad about. But it had her and me and as characters who were romantically involved and sexually involved. And she also has a crush on me too, like IRL. And I have no idea what to do. I feel kind of gross, but also kind of don't care that much. I don't think she meant anything bad by it. I don't want things to get weird because Jane's a good friend, but I don't feel the same way about her as I guess she does about me. And I feel weird about the story too, so give Resi advice.
The fact that you don't share our feelings complicates things, but because even with our open relationship structure, you can't very well do something that would make you uncomfortable. And I'm not sure what advice to give as far as preserving your friendship with her without making things unduly awkward. I am inclined to agree with Rose on this. It is unclear how much this will affect your friendship with Jane, and also if it would be worth the discomfort you might feel.
Did she hurt your feelings? I guess she kind of did.
And she can kiss my ass. She doesn't deserve to be friends with somebody she doesn't respect. TLDR, fuck her.
Riss, I love you so much, but please let me handle this, okay?
Okay, I don't like seeing you get hurt. We're all concerned for you, Terezi. We all want you to be safe and comfortable. If you're not feeling that way because of this thing with Jane, then we'll be there to help you however we possibly can.
I know. I love all of you the most.
Gutsy Gumshoe, an endocrine biohacker.
Hey, is Dr. June, MD, PhD, Esquire in right now?
As a matter of fact, she is.
So I had a long and not great conversation with Terezi, and I guess you probably already know what it was about.
I'm afraid I can't divulge patient information, but maybe.
Yeah, so I feel completely stupid about that. I have this dumb crush on Terezi, and I figured there wasn't any harm in exploring it my story. And then it got out of hand, and then she read it. I never meant for any of this to happen, and I feel so bad about it. I don't want our friendship to be destroyed because of this silly crush I have.
Okay, so I think what you did isn't necessarily the worst thing. You were doing a thought experiment to handle your feelings.
Yeah,
But I think you were also feeding into unrealistic fantasies while doing it. And that's part of why part of why you hurt Terezi with it.
because she's asexual.
Exactly. She feels like you disregarded something that's very important to her,
Almost like violating her consent. Maybe not quite like that, but close enough. And she's just coming into being really comfortable communicating those boundaries to her partners. How do I just roll this back?
you can't. You already let this one out, and now you have to deal with whatever happens.
I know this sounds harsh, but there's no shortcut. Either Terezi will feel better about it and choose to trust you on this, or she won't.
You can help that by being completely honest with her and communicating how you feel. Question: how important is the idea of having a romantic or sexual relationship with Terezi versus having a platonic relationship with her?
What?
Are you going to let your crush on her sour your friendship, or can you accept that she might never want to reciprocate those feelings and move on from the crush and be her friend? Or is this something where you feel like you have to be romantic or sexual, or that it's not worth it? I'm sorry if this makes you uncomfortable, but Dr. June, MD, PhD, Esquire has to ask the tough questions. If you want softball June, I'll have to take off my Dr. Professor hat. It's not a literal hat, just FYI.
It's more important for me to stay friends with her. I'm gonna want to date her and stuff, maybe for a while, but I can be friends with her without being weird about it. I can respect her boundaries.
Good. Make sure you tell her that.
And then she'll be good?
I can't promise that. Only that it's better than leaving everything up in the air.
Hey, Terezi.
Jane.
I'm sorry to call you first. I talked to Dr. June for a bit, and I wanted to talk to you.
Okay.
I'm really sorry about the story. I shouldn't have written all that stuff. I think a lot about it was just me getting away from myself because of how I feel about you.
And how is that exactly? You were a little vague other than having a heck of a crush on me.
So I think you're really cute, and I think it'd be really nice to date you. And I think you're super attractive too, in a lot of ways. I also wish you felt the same way about me.
Jane, you know how I feel. You're very cute too, and you seem like you'd be a lot of fun to date, but some of the stuff you seem interested in, I'm just really not. I tried to be into it for a long time with someone I'm really in love with, and it still felt like work. Now things are different because of Rose and Kanai, and I can kind of be myself. As much as I like you, I don't think I could say we're compatible like that. And I think it'd end up real badly for both of us.
Yeah, I kind of think I understand that even when I was writing that stupid story. I think part of me had a crush on a Terezi that isn't really Terezi, you know?
Yeah, I actually kind of do.
And I feel like that I was disrespectful as heck. Because you've got your own boundaries and you're a person, not just an idea. And I don't want to dismiss that because I actually do really like you so much as a friend, too.
Jane, I really don't want to lose that. I honestly don't, but if you're just going to be seeing things as us possibly getting together, if you play your cards right, I don't think I can do that.
Honest to God, I'd rather stay friends with you than get so focused on hoping you'll want to date me someday that I lose that.
Jane, that means a lot to me. I'd rather that happens too.
Journal 134. Tarzi came over today to hang out and play some games together. I still have no idea how she's so good at that stuff without even being able to see the screen. I thought maybe things would be weird, but she wasn't treating me any differently, and I think I was okay with that. I think that maybe I had more a crush on the idea of who Terezi was than who she actually was. But I'm friends with the real Terezi, so maybe that's worth a heck of a lot more in the end. I ripped up that story, and I don't think I'll be finishing it or writing another one. Having Caliborn be the bad guy just felt too on the nose, and I didn't even think of a good role for Vriska or June. It's too bad. Seemed like it might have been a good potential idea. Oh well, maybe in another world.
All right, and that is the end of that one. So I'm glad. I appreciate y'all coming and listen, and I really hope that you had fun. I had a lot of fun doing this. I really enjoy reading this stuff out loud. I'm just looking through chat here. Yes, writing problematic RPF relevant to discussions that we had on the board or the Discord earlier. Yes, endocrine biohacker. I cannot take any credit for that one. I don't remember the name of the person that came up with that. It's someone on the Lady Stuck forum or Discord server, I believe, that came up with that one. Thank you. I really had a lot of fun writing that. Like I said, the Dr. June is the kind of like a different micro issue every chapter, and it can be read in isolation. So, like I said, I had a lot of fun reading this. Thank y'all for coming. I really appreciate it. If y'all like doing this and want to do it again, I'd be happy to do this again sometime, probably next week or something like that. We'll see what happens with the whole quarantine schedule thing. Here in Texas, it's just been, at least for my county, it's been extended through May 8th. So I'm going to be inside for a little bit longer. And this is a fun thing to do. I really like the whole fic reading thing. So I really appreciate everyone coming and sticking around for this hour and 45 minutes. This feels like about the most I'd be comfortable doing. Maybe next time I'll do one of the longer stories. Just read a couple of chapters from it. I will think about that in the week to come. So I really do appreciate everyone coming. And yeah, any thoughts in chat? I'm happy to answer questions or comments or whatever. But I do appreciate everyone coming and listening for this time. And for the folks that have come and gone, I also appreciate y'all showing up and taking part in this. So thank you all very much. And I think I'm going to be stopping the stream now. Let me switch over, not hit the mic. Oh, you're welcome. Hold on, let me go to my awesome end card that I made. Yay, there we go. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I like doing this, and I think I'm going to do it again. My schedule is real flexible, so I didn't have a particular time in mind. Just not to conflict with any of the other podcasts, because I really like the Will at Homestuck live reading. That's a lot of fun. And I've gotten to experience a lot of work that I wouldn't have otherwise read or wouldn't have known about. So I appreciate everyone. Thank you for joining me, and I will be seeing y'all later.